Hey everybody, welcome to another production meeting. We are back this week. How's it going, fellas?
Going pretty good, except we had this. I'm not even gonna start with this movie yet. Not to not to tip my hand too quick.
Off to a good start here.
Good start. Yay. It's rocky. All right, but we'll level it out here soon.
Let's see. What did I do this week? Other than that, what else I do? I got to finally play a little bit of Phoenix Rising again, so that's all the gaming I've done. Didn't watch anything. Got caught up on Falcon and Winter Soldier, and yeah, that's all I had time to do this week. So my week.
Oh man, you finally finished moving yet?
Me and yeah, but we'll move. Yeah. We'll move Ashley in when the wedding day comes.
Gotcha. I'm kind of in the same boat with you. I know I was talking to you guys earlier. The only thing of substance that I watched this week, and I use the term substance lightly, other than the homework, was Willy's Wonderland, starring everyone's favorite Nick Cage. If you're a fan of Five Nights at Freddy's, check it out. If you're a fan of like crazy, horror movies about killer animatronics, check it out. If you're a fan of Nick Cage not talking and just staring at his beautiful face, check it out. Other than that, it's just a movie. Don't go in with high expectations. You're going to have an okay time.
Cool.
But that's it.
Ryan?
I didn't do too much as well. I watched the homework. We were talking about it earlier, but I caught up on Invincible. It's quite decent, contrary to my overall dislike for it based on the first episode or two. But it's definitely turned around, I think, as far as consistency goes. It's very steady after that first episode, which is just kind of a little bit of tonal whiplash, I think. So now that it's kind of leveled out, I've been really enjoying it, and that's pretty much it.
Yeah, I get that, because I thought the same thing. When you don't know what this is going into it, you get like deer in the headlights / like you get T-boned, quick from this, because like you think it's just like basically a newer version of like the old Justice League show, but nope, it's a little not graphic, mature, and but I agree. I'm only on episode 4, I think was the last one I watched, but yeah, and I'm like, there's some decent quality to this, and there's a decent story arc to this movie, to this show.
Yeah, you guys, I was a fan of it since the beginning, unlike you, Ryan. But for a second, I was like, wait a minute. I didn't know Ryan had heard about my jazz group in college. Tonal whiplash.
Is that a real thing?
No.
I was gonna say, I know the name of your actual band.
Yes, there is. Yes, it is. There's T-shirts. There are T-shirts.
Tonal whiplash.
I'll be disappointed if I don't get that shirt in the mail now. I sent you $20 for it, so.
Yes. So everyone check out Invincible. It's good. For now. But be aware of the tonal whiplash.
For sure. Absolutely. I think once you get into episode 2, you can expect that from every episode. But it's tough it's weird that you've got this like weird uneasy feeling from most of the show. And I finally, like episode 5, I finally eased out of it. Episode 6 was a nice, comfortable viewing. So I'm sure 7's going to throw me off again.
I was going to ask, what episode are we currently like? We're on 6.
7 is this Friday.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
So there are 6. Cool. All right. Well, while you guys were doing that, I've been watching The Nevers. Still a pretty decent show. I started The Alienist, which is the TNT like limited series, but there's like 2 seasons, right?
Yeah, I can interject and say that's a good series.
Is it?
Yes.
Yeah, I was gonna text you and be like, okay, does this get better? Because that first episode is like a drag. It drags, and then like the second episode, I think, like I'm only on the 3rd episode, but like the second episode like picks up, and then it starts to get interesting, and it's like, okay, but yeah, I like these type of like crime dramas, like the historical crime dramas, because of it's different, and it's the set pieces and everything are amazing. And Daniel Bruhl, like he's killing it.
Mm-hmm.
So, and I watched Saint Maud, or at least all but like the last 30 minutes of it. I don't know why I didn't finish the last 30 minutes of it, but like the first.
It's the best part, man.
It
Is
is.
it?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
But
That's how you
probably
learn how he
finish-
becomes mod. I'm just kidding.
That last act is really good.
Okay.
Was that up for any Oscar nominations?
It's a horror film by A24, so no.
Yeah.
I didn't
They
know
don't
anything.
even nominate like great horror films, let alone good ones.
Yeah.
See, I didn't even know it was a horror. I don't know anything about this.
Say
Tag on
mod.
Blumhouse, Best
Yeah.
Picture nod. Put in Toni Collette's name for an Oscar nomination? Nope. Not
Sad.
bitter.
I will say though, Alex, like it is on Epics, and I think it's gonna be on Amazon like next month. But like, I would go in this not knowing anything. I watched the trailer, and the trailer is still a little vague, but yeah, go into it not really knowing anything. 'Cause I
Yeah.
was just watching it going.
And
Okay.
try not to laugh in that last second shot.
Yeah. She's a little
Okay,
weird.
fair warning.
But yeah, that's all I did. I watched some Wipeout because the Wipeout is apparently back. I didn't know that.
Doesn't that have John Cena in it now?
It does
Yes.
have John Cena. I was like, all right, cool.
And that one chick from Hidden Figures, one of the ladies, I think.
I know she's on Nailed It. I can't remember her name because my daughter pointed her out. She's like, "Isn't that the lady from Nailed It?" And I was like, I guess.
Like, Dad,
Wait,
aren't you
right,
supposed
so-
to know everybody?
What is Nailed It, that cooking show on
Yeah.
Netflix? Okay.
Yeah. Yeah. My
Oh,
daughter watches some
yeah.
weird stuff.
She is in. I think she is in that. That's funny.
Did you guys ever watch, speaking of Netflix and random shows, did you guys ever watch The Floor is Lava when we were on like break?
I watched 2 episodes.
Ron's over there shaking his hand. Head.
There's a little too much filler of that show. Like,
Really?
just come on, get into it. Just
Whatever,
just
man.
Start jumping.
That show was way
See-
more entertaining than it should have been.
I mean,
Is
yeah,
it really?
It's because everybody was quarantined. Tiger King was more entertaining than it should have been.
Yes.
You know, is that what you're gonna say, Clint?
Yeah. It was way more entertaining than it should have been. But season 2 of Floor is Lava is coming, so
Oh
There you go,
God,
Alex.
I got to mark that on my calendar.
Segue into
You
the
do.
news.
yeah.
Season 2 of The Floor is Lava.
This time
Yeah.
we use real lava.
Ugh. Good luck with that. We are segueing into news. You guys got anything else before we get into the news? News
Not unless you guys want to hear about
time.
new board games, but that's not very movie, TV, video game.
it's news to us.
Yeah, man. Come on.
I mean, it's the other thing I did this week is we played more of the Aliens Another Glorious Day in the Marine Corps board game. I think I had it on or out in the background when we did our Alien back when Alex was still doing Throwback Thursdays or
Yeah.
whatever. But it's
Yeah.
all right. I was gonna say for anybody who's like heavily interested in jumping into a board game, it's pretty fun, but it's not a good starter game for heavy board games. And then the more we play it, the less I like it. We bought another kind of expansion for it where one team can play as the aliens. It is so imbalanced that I sent them an email today asking like,
Wow.
can you guys send more things to fix this? Like there's rules to build the they call them bug hunts missions to make them bigger, and one of them has a set of tiles, and then next to it is another set of tiles, but the tiles are the inverted half of the other 2 tiles, so they made a map that's impossible to build. So I was like, guys, this doesn't work.
They're like, we don't care about balance. We're just trying to sell expansions here, sir.
It very much seems like it, and we've put $140 into
Wow.
three expansions of this game. It wasn't actually quite that much. We got them cheap, but the retail value is about that. It just does not play very well.
What we should do on one of these next time, we should just virtually play. Like, all right, Ryan, I'm gonna go to G7 or how.
I got you guys set up. I can pick out a couple long games we can play. Hold you guys up your cards.
Cool.
Yeah, more on that to come. I think I'll be playtesting a little bit more, and hopefully they'll send me 2 more tiles so I can play that bug hunt.
Stay tuned, folks. All right, we got some news. First off, we're going to start off with our famous segment. Why do we need this? I got 2 bits of news for this. One, How I Met Your Father is in the works at Hulu. with Hilary Duff. Yes, exactly. Why do we need this? Like, didn't this show just end like a few years ago?
I'm just sad right now. They teased us with a Lizzie McGuire reboot, and then Disney's like, no, and she's like, fine, I'm gonna make the worst garbage you can think of now. I'm like, dang, I thought you were gonna do that before. Now you're really gonna do it. Why would you do this to me?
She doubled down, sir.
Yeah, I didn't catch that it was going to be How I Met Your Father, which makes sense because I was like, what are they just going to keep doing How I Met Your Mother and she's going to be the mom?
No.
Like what?
This is yeah. I don't know why we need this.
You know,
Hilary
it's
Duff.
yeah, no.
Should have stuck with Lizzie McGuire. That's all I gotta say.
Dang you, Disney.
Yeah. Next up, Vin Diesel is going to be in a Rock'em Sock'em Robots movie.
They're perfect for each other.
We've seen this movie already, though.
Yeah, but
within the past 10 years.
But that was a movie that had an actor and arguably a production that was genuinely trying. This is a very simple concept given to an actor who can only grasp simple concepts in film roles, apparently. So he and his muscles can share the screen time with big robots.
Come on. Chronicles of Riddick wasn't simple.
What?
I think his involvement of it was painfully simple. It was so simple that they set up a whole franchise bit and then reduced it to just doing Pitch Black, but in the daylight for the next movie.
That's true.
Yeah.
Pitch Black's a solid movie, though.
It is. It's probably the best Vin Diesel movie.
Yeah. Like totally blanking on everything he's in. The last thing I remember seeing him in was
The Pacifier.
Yeah, right.
The Pacifier, yeah.
No.
Last Witch Hunter?
Franchise movies.
Yeah. I saw Bloodshot last year, and that was painfully boring.
I think I'd be more down for this movie if it was actually a Fast and Furious Rock'em Sock'em Robots movie. Like, let's get these boys back from this franchise and just put robots in it that box. Have Ludacris.
Two big things hitting each other was basically all Hobbs and Shaw was. So,
is this a Hollywood like movement? Like, is this a thing where they're doing like Battleship, Connect 4, Rock'em Sock'em Robots?
Look, I'm going to interrupt you right there. I would pay more money to go see a Connect 4 movie than this. Okay.
I mean, they technically have a Guess Who movie. They have a couple of them.
From the makers of the Emoji Movie comes Connect 4.
You just say that name. Alex, that's another soul killer right there, Alex. You were asking me earlier what some of the worst movies ever are. I saw the Emoji Movie opening weekend in theaters. That's a soul killer.
I've never sat through that because of people's reviews, and I'm tempted to just find it somewhere and just buckle down. And
I feel like I just heard something that Ryan told his priest earlier. Like, I went to the Emoji Movie opening weekend.
Forgive me,
your
Father.
Theater, Matt.
7 Hail Marys.
Your theater.
7 Hail Marys.
Oh, it is not the worst movie I've ever seen. It's up there. That's segueing into something else, I'm sure.
No. Next, we have some Marvel news. You guys ready for some Marvel news?
Always.
Yay! So, Emilia Clarke and Olivia Coleman are coming to the MCU in the Secret Invasion series. Obviously, we don't know what their roles are going to be, but cool. Disney's going to pay some A-list actors for some stuff. It's a TV series too, so getting excited about this. It's going to be the Nick Fury, what is his name? Talon series? Skrulls invading. What do you guys think?
When you have too many, she's a great actress. I'm always concerned when you have too many. Would you call her A-list? Emilia Clarke?
Can you greenlight a movie with her?
No.
Yeah, exactly. That's my point. So I'm like, but she's still a pretty recognizable name. And I think when you add too many, I mean, it's a huge universe, like spanning over close to 30 movies now. So it's like, eventually you're gonna have to cast some more people to fill more roles. So I'm not what's the word, discouraged by her addition. I'm just saying in general, like when you have too many big names, it's like, does that maybe diminish the ability to tell your story the way you want?
Maybe they're just feeling sorry for all the people that they put in Solo, so they had to like ask her. They're like, here.
That was in the back recesses of my mind. I was like,
man, I thought you were gonna say Game of Thrones, and I was gonna be all with you, and then you had to drag poor Solo into this.
I was only saying that because the girl, what's her face from from Falcon and Winter Soldier, was also in Solo.
Yeah, that's
Kelsey?
fair.
Aaron Kellerman.
Yeah,
yeah, that's right.
So,
I forgot
And
about
Paul
that.
Bettany was in,
obviously,
in WandaVision.
So yeah, there goes the counter argument that it can. That some guys can. It'll be fine.
Yeah.
It'll be fine.
Alex, I'm with you though. I think it depends on the involvement, because I remember distinctly that we've had conversations over like the last at least 10 years of MCU. When you put an A-lister in your movie, can you gradually put them in your movie, or is it like a Martin Freeman where he's kind of there and then he's kind of just standing around?
Bingo.
And it could be anybody, but it's Martin Freeman. So
yeah, that's my biggest concern. Like even like Owen Wilson being in the Loki series, I'm like, that I don't know. For me, that just doesn't feel like it's totally organic. He's a decent actor and whatever, but I don't know how well he's gonna fit and how effortless it's gonna be to be like, to not be, that's Owen Wilson, or as opposed to what they want us to think, like, that's Bob Burson, whatever his character is.
Well, I think a good counterpoint though is that I think that with Marvel's movies and their series, you can't argue their casting. They cast like some of the best. I shouldn't say the best people, but like they cast them very well. Let's just put it that way. Like,
yeah,
Guardians made Chris Pratt like a star. Let's face it, like he was Park and Rex before this, and I think that they do really. And Catherine Hahn, very recently, I think she did really well as Agatha. How big like Emilia Clarke and Olivia Coleman's like involvement in this series is going to be, I'm not sure, but I also think that you're not going to hire these two for just this series though either. I think that their roles are going to be a lot more impactful within the MCU.
Yeah, it's not them personally. It's just too many big names or too many cooks. Basically, it's like don't change hands too much. Let's just. But yeah, when we get to the Falcon and Winter Soldier review, remind me of this little segment to come back to that point later on.
Yep. All right. Moving on. The Shang-Chi trailer. Two of us watched this. It's awesome. You guys should watch it. Yeah.
Pretty good.
Go ahead, Ryan.
No, I was just gonna say the thing I was really excited for going into this movie was the thing I got from this trailer. Iron Fist tried and failed for 2 seasons to kind of bring any sort of not even just martial arts that comes with the territory of the characters, but steady, slow, competently edited action sequences outside the Russo films, which I would argue could even be improved. And this trailer looks incredible as far as stunts, choreography, and martial arts go. So I can't wait for that and that alone.
Yeah.
With the release dates changing all the time, when is this supposed to come out again?
September 3rd.
That's what I thought. I knew it was September something. Okay. That's what I remember last.
Yeah, I want to say September. Because I think there's like a 2-month break in between each MCU movie this year. Which would be, July is Black Widow. August, September, it would be Shang-Chi. I'm trying to expand this because I think Matt is watching the trailer right now.
It's an instant reaction. Oh man, it looks good. And I mean, production value wise, it looks amazing. For like a martial arts film, it looks pretty good. So
yeah, Shang-Chi's in September, and then so the Eternals will be November, so October, November, yeah. And then Spidey's in December. But we'll get to Spidey here in a second. But yeah, I thought that the trailer, and to your point, Ryan, I think I gave Iron Fist kind of like a pass because I think the second season is a little bit better than the first season.
I completely agree with that.
And I think that they kind of tried a lot harder with the second season. But yeah, this definitely looks like the proper introduction of martial arts into the MCU. So
yeah, I think the big thing that didn't help Iron Fist, not to get too off topic, is that you've got to have good choreography and good editing, and they were doing it at the same time when Daredevil was doing that, and Iron Fist had great choreography, but sometimes very sloppy editing. So it's tough to kind of compare that to a movie, to a series that arguably didn't even need to be at that bar, but was.
Right. Yeah. Yeah, I think that Daredevil set a very high bar for those Marvel Netflix series. But yeah.
Why is Awkwafina in every Asian film now?
I want to say because she's Asian.
Okay. If there was only a place where we could find more Asian people.
What was she in Crazy Rich Asians?
This is Hollywood. There's like 12 diverse people.
Yeah.
Yeah, she's in Crazy Rich Asians.
With her amazing singing voice.
That looks good. That was actually way better. And I didn't really have the volume up, so I didn't hear it. But visually, that looked amazing.
Oh, wait. Were you asking that? Because I forgot we were talking about that trailer. Is she in that trailer?
Yeah, she's in the
movie.
Matt, what I should have said instead was just be glad it's not Scarlett Johansson.
Oh, is that a Ghost in the Shell reference?
Boo.
I believe so. I believe that it is.
I remember Ryan was like, Alex, I got 3 to 5 copies of these from Family Video, and it's like, have them all. And I was like, I don't even need the one. I'm good.
I have a nice Blu-ray DVD digital copy of that I put together for $250. So sitting beside the original, which is 15 times as good.
Yeah. Poor anime. Moving on. So Alfred Molina confirms that he is actually in Spider-Man 3, No Way Home. He didn't, yeah. He even said that he was like the worst kept secret in Hollywood, apparently. He talks about, he did an interview with, I believe, Variety. And he talks about like the de-aging process and like where his character actually pops in and pops out of the multiverse, pretty much confirming that this is going to be a multiverse type of show or film. So he's going to be taken out of his death scene of Spider-Man 2 and popped into this movie. So the movie was made in 2004. It's almost 16 years ago.
Yeah,
I want to say 2004. And he talks about like he's older now and like he's not going to be able to look the same. And they said, well, we de-aged Robert Downey Jr. and a few people, so there you go. So, yeah, what do you guys think?
Just confirming that Spider-Man 2, yes, was in 2004. I just wanted to make sure.
As long as he's actually the character, not just a random boner joke at the end of it. I'm going to keep saying that every time we talk about bringing somebody in for another franchise, but
I'm just going to think to myself that he's lying. I don't want to know this stuff going into this movie, even though I know this stuff going into this movie. So hopefully he's fibbing a little bit.
Yeah, do you remember Secrets?
Yeah. Have we said, now I may have just totally missed it, or if we're just thinking that this is implied, is he supposed to be Dr. Octavius? Is that like, because I don't know if I caught that. I don't know. I both like this and dislike this. When you do something like this diminishes the quality that is Spider-Man 2. I mean, still regarded as probably one of the best Marvel movies, like, of all, not even just I mean, because it's not an MCU, like, even
Right.
over the MCU.
Mhm.
So I mean, you take that and it maybe negates the impact of, you know, the final act of Spider-Man 2. I mean, that may be an overstatement, but I mean, Alfred Molina is a solid actor. Am I happy to have him on? Yeah, but are there hesitations to my joy? Sure. So it's just gonna be like, we'll have to see what they do with him in
Yeah.
there.
All right.
So
More Marvel news. Petition has been set out to recast T'Challa, Black Panther. And I think we posted this on the production board. I'm not sure why they want to recast him. Maybe just to keep his character, his legacy kind of going. But I think, you know, the four of us have kind of talked about this. I'd like to see Lakeith Stanfield or John David Washington. It's probably a pretty good actor to recast him as. But yeah, what do you guys think? Should they recast him?
I think it should be Aquafina.
I am Aquafina from Wakanda. No, so I was the one who suggested Stanfield for this because I was like, he's like, I feel like he's, you know, a really good actor, but also like knee-jerk reaction. Like, I feel like he would kind of segue into the role more seamless than anybody else I can think of. John David Washington is also not a bad pick for that. I just feel like with Washington, I don't know. It's like he has to, you know, have that like that African accent too in there, and I don't know if I see that of him blending into the character more. I don't know. It's just, who do I feel segues into it less abrasively.
I'm just trying to sit here to figure out if I would be offended if they recast it with anybody. But then I'm like, was I really offended when they recast Terrence Howard? No.
Exactly.
So, I mean, albeit it's just a character, and once you recast them, there'll be more movies. I mean, we'll get over it. They'll become their own character. So, I mean, it's not a huge deal. I think Lakeith gives off kind of the same energy that Chadwick Boseman gives off. The only issue I think, and I don't know if he's worked with Disney before, but Lakeith's been in some questionable stuff. I mean, so I don't know if that would hinder them wanting to put him on screen, but they've worked with Donald Glover, so I don't see why not.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, I'm fine either way. To be perfectly honest, it'd probably be a lot easier for them to recast because they probably have stuff already in their mind of what they're going to do. So it probably would make it easier. But then again, you know, it's been, you know, a while since he's passed and they've known things were on the horizon. So who knows what they've planned. Either way, I'm good. I'm not going to be hurt either way.
Right.
I agree. Yeah, I think it needs to be recast. Yeah, because I think that the character is just so popular. I know Chadwick Boseman kind of made it iconic, but in general, yeah, the character probably should continue on. And you know, you nailed it on the head. You know, Terrence Howard is like the biggest example of how they can still continue on. Like, I like Terrence Howard more than I like Don Cheadle as what's the character? Not War Machine,
Brody.
but
Brody.
Brody. So I like him more, but you know, obviously things didn't work out. You know, and Don Cheadle's been okay. He's been fine. He's continued it on. You know, has he made it absolutely unbearable? Oh no. But you know, there's your point, Matt. I agree with that. And I think I would be way more for it than against it.
Cool. Ryan, any thoughts?
Yeah. I'd be fine with recasting. They've done it before. We're on our third Hulk in live action movies, second Hulk in the MCU, fourth Hulk in live action adaptations. So, you know, Mark Ruffalo's doing a great job. arguably better than Ed Norton. The trouble I have with recasting is I don't know if anybody can do better. And now that's not really fair to say better instead of different, but it's the same character. So I'm going to definitely say I don't know if anybody can do better than Chadwick Boseman. So that's why I'm almost in favor of swapping out the character. But I also really don't want Shuri to be a main character in the MCU in any way. So
this is a case of pick your poison.
She's a perfect supporting character.
Cool.
I don't know. I say that because I know that was like the thing for a while. People were like, "Oh, just let Shuri be the title character." So
yeah, I think because she was in the books.
Yeah,
she takes over for like a hot minute. But to your point, Alex, to your recommendation, I just for some reason I think that John David Washington has like an aura, like a more kind of regal aura than Lakeith Stanfield, and I think it's just because of like the roles that he's taken, not anything about his acting abilities, but he's taken these kind of like backseat kind of, I wouldn't say meek kind of characters, but they're kind of in the background kind of characters, and he does really well with those. And I'm not sure. I mean, even with Sorry to Bother You, I think he was just kind of like this weird kind of character. But with John David Washington, he's been in these roles where he has to be kind of like front and center.
Yeah, man. I don't know. I'm still a little gun shy from what was that, Malcolm and Marie?
Yeah.
No, I'm that, and I couldn't understand Tenet at all.
Audibly or structurally?
I was gonna say that's not technically his fault.
I know. There you go. I mean, yeah, he has nothing to do with it. He just happens wrong place,
He's
wrong
just
time.
the protagonist.
The sound editing is the antagonist.
Yes. All right. Well, we got to move on. So Disney has the streaming rights for Sony films after Netflix. I got this big thing with now all the Sony Marvel movies are going to come to Disney Plus in 2022 after their initial run at Netflix, apparently. So Spider-Man is officially going to be, film-wise anyway, going to be back at Disney. Yay.
Dang.
Yay.
Sony like double, triple dipping over here. They're like, you want some of these movies? You can have some of these movies for a little bit of time. You want some of these movies? All right, you can have those movies after that little bit of time. And you can all pay us, we're going to auction off those times. So yeah, pay us whoever wants it in the first, pay us the most money. So they're going to make like $3 billion off of this or something ridiculous.
Sure.
I don't blame them. I don't blame them. That's their baby right now. That's their cash cow.
Mm-hmm.
Oh yeah, these Marvel titles, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
These are what are making their money.
Yeah.
So I don't know. I was more hoping for like a deal to keep Spider-Man in the MCU a little bit longer, besides these 2 movies apparently that he's going to be in, but whatever.
As long as we get more Venom.
Hey, if we can trust anything, if that Sony can definitely hold the Spider-Man franchise together without adult supervision.
Lies. Okay.
If it doesn't work the first time, try it the second time. If it doesn't work the second time, try it a third time. Just keep trying.
That's where you bring in the parental overseers. All right, so that's all for the Marvel news. I just threw this in here because I'm kind of ecstatic about this. Ted Lasso is coming back on the July 23rd. What?
Yay!
Season 2 is coming out on July 23rd. Those 2 that haven't seen it, this guy and this guy, go see it. It's good. Some gaming news. Knights of the Old Republic is getting a remake.
About time.
Yep, that's exactly what I said.
I wonder if they'll because there's been
long.
E3 stuff coming out recently of like not exactly E3 like scheduling, but like, hey, this is when we're talking about conferencing and so on. So maybe they'll talk about that and obviously some more stuff. I think that's usually mid to end of June.
Cool.
Now this is, forgive me because I'm not all in depth with how games do their remakes. This is like a remake, not like a 10% polished up and re-release on the Switch.
So what you're thinking of, Ryan, is a remaster, yeah, is where they just kind of touch it up. Like it's the
Okay.
same game, but it just looks like a little bit more polished and brighter. A remake is literally starting from the ground up, but with the source material.
So the
Shut up and
Final
take my money.
Fantasy VII would be a
remake. Yes, exactly.
Well, then I've been waiting for this since I finished Knights of the Old Republic 2.
Yes. From all accounts, it does say that it is a remake. From everything that I've read, it's all a remake.
Who's handling it? Who's the developer?
Why you guys ask me these hard questions?
Because I ask because if it's EA, I'm
It's not EA. I think they've lost their Star Wars privileges.
now hold on. To that effect, Ryan, hold on. They do have, if you haven't played, what is it, Fallen Order, that's really good. Now granted, it's out of how many failed Star Wars games?
Yeah, but would you really consider Fallen Order EA or Respawn?
That's a good point. Respawn. So yeah, you can't really trust EA when it comes to this kind of stuff.
Isn't KOTOR weren't they like Bethesda at one point or something?
I think so.
BioWare.
Yeah, one or the other. I'm not too familiar.
I want to say BioWare.
I've got the disc sitting over there, but I don't want to get up and look.
Yeah.
But yeah. I mean, because EA obviously should not be trusted with this kind of stuff because how many things have they, pushed heavily and failed? There was Anthem. I bought first day. Granted, I don't think the gameplay is terrible, but the story behind that and the character design is very, very bland. And then they did, what is it? Did they do Andromeda? Because I remember I got that first day and that was, can't even return it because people will only take like 50 cents for that game. So I'm like, it's just not even worth taking back. And then obviously all of the Star Wars Battlefront games. Yeah, those are the second one. They got a little bit better, but still microtransaction-y.
Well, according to IGN, Port Studio Aspyr, ASPYR Media will head up to remake for the 2003 Star Wars game.
Okay, so all right, I have high hopes for this.
Yes,
no pun intended.
Yep. Next up, The Flash officially starts production with Keaton officially on board. Yay, more multiverse stuff. I know that there was concerns of Keaton not actually joining the cast because of COVID, that he didn't want to die apparently in England or wherever they're going to film it. It's his prerogative apparently, but he's officially on board according to his publicist. So yay, 89 Batman.
He probably got his vaccination, so he thinks he's all good now.
Cool. Whatever he needs to do. Give him placebo. I don't care.
So wait, they hadn't even started filming this movie yet?
No. They started a couple days ago. Yeah, they started a couple days ago.
This is the beginning of production. So I still don't think they've started filming. unless that's what they mean by production.
Was Ezra Miller just sitting at home?
Okay.
Waiting for a phone call? We're gonna film this anytime soon, guys?
He's lucky he's still got a job. I'm sorry.
he's nervously waiting by the phone. Either I'm gonna film or I'm gonna get canceled. I'm not sure which one yet.
Yeah.
I just have to wait for the phone call.
Yeah. Totally off subject though, because it just reminds me, why is Ray Fisher still taking shots at Warner Brothers? Can we stop now? I mean, I understand his plight and it was bad. Okay, so we got it, but he's still literally taking shots at Warner Brothers, and it's
I'm halfway. I feel you, but I also feel him at the same time because his character obviously had the most improvement when it came from Whedon to Zack Snyder. Man, I mean, he actually had a good character. So and the fact that it was ruined initially.
Yeah, he got done real dirty. Dirty.
Yeah.
Really dirty. So I don't blame him to an extent. I'm right in the middle between you and him. I'm just
It's not bothering me. Just let him stand on his soapbox while it's still there and complain all he wants to. That's his prerogative. Who knows if it's not helping his career, but let people listen while they are listening, and maybe something positive will come out from it. Probably not, but maybe.
Hopefully. Anyway, so we got a dollar amount for the first season of Amazon's Lord of the Rings. First season. This is the first season. Anybody want to take a guess on like how much this is going to cost?
I can, but I know the exact amount, so I won't.
Yeah.
Yeah, I was gonna say I don't know how much fun guessing the exact amount would be.
I can. What was it? It was. I'm trying to think of the exact numbers to compare it to. So Game of Thrones costs like an estimated $2 million per episode after the pilot, and like $5 million for the pilot, I think. Which at the time was the most expensive pilot and season of television ever.
And how many episodes is season 1? Like
10.
I couldn't remember if it was 8 or 10.
That's yeah.
The 8th season's the only one that's no.
It goes 10, 10, 10, 10, 10, 10, 10, and then 8, 7. Or 7, 6.
Yeah.
Stupid.
That's right.
And they're long. Just make 10 episodes.
All right, reel it back, Ryan.
I'm even wearing my Winterfell shirt for no reason. I'm just mad. Anyway.
But Game of Thrones by season 8, it was like $10 million per episode. So you got 6 episodes in season 8, so it's about $60 million. Okay. So the total cost for this is season 1 of Lord of the Rings is $465 million. Damn.
Now, how many episodes is this?
3.
Maybe 3 3-hour episodes.
Yeah.
Those hobbits is walking with gold-plated suits.
I'll be honest, that makes me so excited. This is going to be, we're already getting to the point where a lot of shows feel like they're transcending how shows feel. And even though they don't, we kind of pretend they do. Like, WandaVision and Falcon feel like an MCU movie. They don't. But they kind of do. They're getting there. Witcher feels like a big budget fantasy movie. We're getting there. This is like, we're just going to put money into it until it actually feels like a movie. But based on Lord of the Rings, that's approachable. That seems like a good way to actually tackle this instead of being like, well, we're not going to put a lot of money into this. We're going to see how it goes first. Tone it back a little bit. Maybe just do a lot of minimalistic. It's not going to work. It's not the same.
Has there been any talks of casting or direction or anything?
Yeah, they're done. They're done filming. Yeah.
Oh, I had no idea. So who's attached? Like, what big names, if any, are attached to this?
I thought we went over casting like a year ago.
Yeah, I feel like no
sorry,
one big got attached to it, so none of that money's going to any of the actors.
Oh, no.
That's exactly why I asked. I was wondering.
Yeah, this is special effects and stuff.
Yeah.
I've got 2 theories as to this. Either Jeff Bezos is the hugest Lord of the Rings fan, or if somebody asked him, all right, man, we need to finance this. We need money for this Lord of the Ring project. And he's like, I don't know, how much do you need? Like $500 million? And the person's like, yeah, that would be great. $500 million. That would work perfectly.
That was my walking around money.
It's actually a real life version of The Producers, where the producers spent about $100 million on it and kept $365 million for themselves.
Yeah, maybe.
That's what we call a surplus, gentlemen.
Oh my gosh.
That's ridiculous, though.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Are they actually going to carve out mines in mountains?
I guess.
You're gonna run out a whole country.
Look up the cost of New Zealand. I'll bet you it's $465 million to own.
We're gonna just buy New Zealand,
and we're gonna name it Amazonia.
we're gonna name it Bezo.
Bezo land. There we
Isle
go.
Of Bezo.
the Bezonia.
Now he's got his tax haven.
That actually sounds like a real place, Bezonia.
I'm trying to remember the total. I don't know the total cost of the Lord of the Rings movies.
All right, Ryan. Now you're making me want to find this out too. So
You can start with Fellowship, and I'll look up Return of the King, and we'll meet in the middle.
okay.
It's probably less than $200 million.
Yeah.
Yeah. The
yeah. I mean,
Fellowship
all
probably
three.
cost next to nothing. I mean, as far as movies go.
yeah. This Return of the King was
Okay.
95 million.
93 for Fellowship. Wow, really?
So it's probably 94 for Two Towers.
Yeah.
Just to be exact.
Oh, so 300 for all three?
Yeah. So they did 93, 94, 95. That's unnecessarily.
94.
That was Peter
Stacking.
Jackson's pay raise.
Yeah. That you might be onto something.
Did you guys know that J.A. Bayona actually directed these?
I should know who that is. Off the top of my head.
By the sound of your silence, you don't know who that is. He did A Monster Calls.
Oh,
And,
yeah. That's up here somewhere.
What was it? Jurassic World Fallen Kingdom? I think he did the last one.
I was like, just stop there, man.
Yeah, it was.
So Monster Calls. That's a good movie.
Yeah.
And very maybe
I-
segueing out too much, but speaking of Peter Jackson, don't know if anybody cares about this. The Frighteners cost $26 million.
Mm-hmm.
That's modest.
Solid film, I recommend.
It is.
know how much-
Yeah, it's a very good movie. So I'm looking at this cast list, and I'm going to give two answers to this. Matt, as far as I know, it's 8 episodes for the season, because according to IMDb, all these people are in all 8 episodes.
8-hour-long episodes?
I hope so.
Man, they're 8-hour long episodes.
So they
Goodness.
spend like $50 million an episode.
Yeah. But
Jeez.
nobody, like, there's nobody in here that I would even like recognize.
Maybe, yeah, that's got to be by design.
I would hope so, to kind of like keep the cost of this down. But
Oh man, is that Ben Stiller?
yeah, right. I could have swore that I heard a very like loose rumor that Blanchett was coming back for like a minute.
It would make sense, but I feel like even if she is, we've known a lot about this show, but like I feel like compared to other shows and how we are getting information, that if she's in it, we're not going to find out until we watch it.
Oh, what's funny actually is that Maud is going to be Gladriel, the actress that did.
Cool. Good choice. I take everything I just said back.
But yeah, she's going to be Gladriel. Yeah, but anybody, like, there's nobody in here that I would be like, oh, I remember him from this movie. These are a bunch of unknowns. So, cool. Any other thoughts on the expensive price tag for Lord of the Rings? Nope. Okay, well, we're going to unfortunately end on some sad news. Helen McCrory actually passed away. For those of you that don't know, she was Harry Potter. She was Lucius Malfoy's mother, and most prominently in Peaky Blinders. So, great actress. Unfortunately, she passed away by cancer. RIP. All right, and that's the news, unless you guys got anything else.
I knew her. Oh,
It's okay.
I was going to say, I knew her as the fish vampire from Doctor Who.
Oh, there you go.
Yeah.
I just wanted to throw some news out here, just some confirmation for Alex. The Annie Awards were last week, I believe, and Soul and Wolfwalkers won the majority of them, and they kind of split the difference. Best feature went to Soul, and Wolfwalkers went to Best Independent Feature. So
I'll take
there
it.
you go.
I'll take it. It's kind of hard to go up against the mouse.
Yeah,
It is. All right, and that's the news. So you guys know what time it is? Open some MCU files. So this week is episode 5, and this is where it's not really a spoiler, but Bucky and Sam take the shield back by force. because he was kind of upset about like giving up that shield apparently. This episode is kind of like a setup to the season, obviously the season finale or series finale, whichever it may be. John Walker is put on trial and stripped of his Captain America like moniker, and is met by an unknown figure we'll talk about later. And we get to see some more Bucky and Sam kind of like chilling out in backwoods of Louisiana, training with the Shield.
I feel like I want to go last on this one.
Okay. I'll go first then. 7. I think is a fair, because like I said, this is literally like a setup. This is kind of like episode 1 all over again, where it kind of sets it up, and then you see the dominoes fall, and then you get to this episode, and it kind of sets up everywhere where they should be for this the series finale. I talk about it every week. Sebastian Stan and Anthony Mackie have great chemistry together. And that fight scene where Bucky was like, yeah, I want to take the shield back, is kind of fitting. Like, you can see that he was kind of upset about what he did, but like they had to take it back. So yeah, it's a good episode.
All right. I am in the same boat with you. 7 all around. That opening fight scene was dope.
Yep.
And everything. I don't want to talk about it without spoilers, because you just watch it without knowing too much about it. I did get a kick out of the training montage. It was a little too long for me, and it was a little too 80s for me, but whatever. It was funny, but a little corny at the same time. Their chemistry, like you said, was on point, as it has been the entire series, and it wouldn't surprise me if they go to the well again once we're done with this at some point, and have them in another series together in some way, shape, or form. So yeah, it was good. 7 out of 10. And yeah, for the penultimate episode, we're gonna see what happens. And what's in the box, man? What's in the box?
What's in the box? No? Okay.
Alex, I'm gonna rant. So if you want to go, you can, but might be a minute.
Yeah, let me go ahead. I was hoping, because I was trying to remember everything that was happening. Like, overall, I remembered the major points, but I was like,
I can refresh you, because if you want, some of those are in my rant.
okay, go ahead.
Oh Lord.
Here we go.
I'll
brace.
I have liked every other episode of this show, which has not led me to a very positive rating that I'm going to give this show when it's all done. I really liked last week's, so I kind of knew I wouldn't like this week's based on track record of
the pattern. It's like
bad,
good, bad.
And once the opening scene was over, to my great surprise, I did not like this episode. The opening scene was fine, but I'm also finally starting to get a little tired of hearing music from other Marvel movies. And I was like, oh, that's the theme from Civil War, but nowhere near as much meaning. Copy paste into the scene that we've seen from Civil War, where 2 people or 3 people are fighting over a shield. Not very creative, Henry Jackman. You've just copy pasted your own music onto a scene that you already scored. But ultimately, a very good scene. I don't know how anybody's not dead after it, but good scene nonetheless. And then there were some interesting elements, I think, introduced. I like, again, I don't know how much I can go into without spoiling things. Elements of Walker's story I thought were interesting. I liked the working on the boat, because that was actually my favorite. The highlight of the episode for me was just the 2 of them buddying along. Everything else was just so out of left field, and there's one subplot. I'm going to call it a subplot, but it's really a theme introduced in this episode that hits you like sideways hail. I don't know what to talk about yet. I don't. Maybe
you should say for spoilers.
Yeah, just give your number. Let Alex say what he's gonna say, and then we'll spoil it for everybody.
Low 6, because I don't give half stars.
No
offense to anybody who do give half stars.
I love half stars, man. What are you saying?
It's
my
when the
right
mood,
as a Libra.
It's when the mood strikes me. I try to not stick with half stars, but sometimes I think it's like I've said this before. Like, sometimes, like there can be a 7 or there can be a, oh man, that was, not too bad kind of 7, So
Alex,
I think
I totally agree with you. This is a 5.5, and I will use a half star again in just a few minutes.
Wow.
I'm gonna save my thoughts for that.
That sounds really negative.
I'm gonna gotta stay focused here. All right, so I think I'm with Matt and Clint. This has, I was thinking like the trend Ryan had mentioned where we have like kind of episode, good episode, episode, good episode. And then this was, following the pattern, this was set to be, kind of one of the duller moments in the series. And it had that to a degree, but I fairly overall enjoyed it. I would also say a 7. Yeah, that opening scene is very, very reminiscent of Civil War. Almost verbatim, honestly. It had some grit to it. I liked it. Yeah, there was nothing to dislike about that. Honestly. It's like, and John Walker is easily the most watchable thing / person on this show. Like, I think that's easily by design. It's like you want him to be, like, you want him to turn around and be a good guy, but then you also like, he's a good guy to hate at the same time, which, so that kind of, no matter how he goes, there's an entertainment value and like there's nowhere to go but up kind of deal with this. So that's good. That's good character design for him. The boat scene is fixing up the boat. Yeah, that's a nice little kind of, I guess, breather from the rest of it. With the whole shield, I don't know if I should be talking about it just yet. Going into details with it. Maybe I'll save that for a little bit. I agree with Matt that training montage, I almost felt like it was a little out of place. And I don't know if this is spoiling, but who else knew that everybody can throw the shield like perfectly like a frisbee the entire time? I'm like, he's throwing it like that. Bucky's throwing it like that. Walker's throwing it like that. I'm like, okay, then apparently nobody who holds it is special. It's like anybody can just fling this thing around.
Well, that's why they had the montage, because he had to get it right. Took him a while to get perfect.
No, I was going to interrupt you last week and tell you that, because you said something about it being like throwing it stuff. Vibranium is indestructible but very light, so that's why they can chuck it around like that.
Oh, see, in my brain, vibranium's like, it's basically like steel.
Yeah,
it's really heavy. But anyway, it's not that important. But with that montage in mind, it's like he threw it better before the montage. Like, he couldn't catch it at all. Like, he was catching it just fine beforehand with Bucky. He's like catching it with one hand, and then now all of a sudden he's got two hands and he can't catch him worth a darn until at the end of the montage. So I thought that was a little weird. What else did I think? Yeah, I mean, overall, it's not a bad episode. There are the dull moments. I like. There are decent scenes with Walker and him getting stripped of his status and basically being darn near court-martialed from the military. So, it's good. I was not impressed with Wyatt Russell's acting in this. Like, he's shown better chops in previous episodes. I don't know. I felt like he was a little more one-dimensional than I'm used to, but at the same time, like I still overall like the character. Like, I still want to know obviously what happens, for sure. So yeah, we'll see what happens. I'm really excited for the last episode. I still stick it a 7 for this episode.
Cool. Let's do spoilers then. First of all, Julia Louis-Dreyfus. Really?
Whoa. Oh, hold on. Pause. Exactly. See, this is the thing where I was like, not that Julie Dreyfus is a A-lister by any stretch of the imagination, but I was like, we're all right, here's this person. Now she's gone. Like, what is this? I think she just happened to be like on set somewhere. They like, hey, you want to come? You want to do this thing? It's like, okay, I'll be Valerie Bertinelli or whoever the heck she was. That was so weird.
Okay, so context. Two things. First of all, apparently her introduction was actually supposed to be in Black Widow, but obviously with the pandemic, like her character's introduction was pushed back a few times. And secondly, her character is actually takes over Hydra in the comic books. Like there's like a low moment where she kind of like takes over, and she had in the books, which I'm wondering if they're going to kind of like set this up, is that she has a romantic interest with Fury because she's an ex-Shield agent. So she's got some fingers in some pies in various places. Yeah.
All right.
Nice.
There's no other way to think of that metaphor.
Was that you said to remind you, Alex, when we got to or were you talking about this movie or this show or the movie when we were talking about Spider-Man or Too Many Cooks in the Kitchen before earlier? You said remind you of something.
Yeah, it was Emilia Clarke. Yeah, that's exactly what, because I remember like she's a recognizable face, honestly. Like I think if you see her, you're like, oh man, it's what's her name from Elaine from Seinfeld, or you know whatever. Hey Jerry. So yeah, that's I was just like, all right, that's kind of a pretty recognizable face to just kind of, but I guess I throw her a little bit of a bone with the like Clint said, her for real introduction was delayed, and so kind of thrown off a bit.
Mm-hmm. So let's hear the rant, sir.
All right, so my big beef. Well, a couple things I liked. Now we're into it. I liked John Walker's defense, where he's like, yeah, but this, and they're like, shut up, and he's like, yeah, but blah blah blah, and they're like, shut up, and he's like, well, you made me this way, and I was like, that's fair. They are just throwing him out there, like,
yeah,
love for the guy that's obviously wasn't ready for this, but is trying really hard just to do the job that he's given. Not to defend him, but I like that. I thought that was interesting. Gosh, the heck. I'm going to call it the fried green tomatoes effect of slow burn storytelling and racism.
Oh, yeah.
Like, it's not that I don't get it. I get it. And then I really liked the play the discussions had in this episode. Where were they the last 4 episodes? Because nothing, I think, I mean, unless I miss something, or is there some subtext somewhere, nothing remotely touches on race. I don't understand why it's suddenly coming up. And then on top of that, none of the conversations made any sense to me. It's like they skipped over sensitive gaps of conversation for the sake of skipping straight to the iconic, impactful lines, where he's talking with, I can't remember the old guy's name. He's talking with the old super soldier, and the old super soldier's like,
Isaiah.
"Oh yeah, here's Isaiah." Yeah, and he's like, "Here's some backstory," and then they put me in jail, and don't wear that shield because you're black. And I'm like, "Whoa!"
Yeah, you know what? That is actually very, very valid. I thought the same thing. Like, you think you're just watching it, and like from my point of view, like I may not get every single piece of the dialogue, but overall I get the context and therefore understand the overall meaning of the conversation. And I agree with you. I'm like, he's talking about, yeah, he was experimented. He specifically was experimented on, but I don't think they ever established it because he was black or because, you know, they did it with multiple black people. And yeah, exactly. I thought the same thing. I'm like, you know, what did he say? You know, any self-respecting black man would never take that shield. And I'm like,
yeah, and I'm like, what an interesting statement, but has nothing to do with what you just said. Like, and then later on, he and Bucky are talking, and then Bucky's suddenly talking about the importance of it. And then at one point, he's like, it doesn't matter what Steve would have wanted. And I'm like, what do you mean what Steve would have wanted? He tried to give it to Sam in the first place. I don't understand why it's a conversational topic we're having. I mean, I'm glad it's a conversational topic that the show is having. I really am. Nothing has built to it whatsoever. And in the episode that they introduced it, I think nothing really built well to it. I it's just the one thing I could not get behind, and they spent like maybe 20 minutes on it.
I don't know. I feel like I'm trying to think of it. I don't think it was as out of left field. I felt like they had just been tiptoeing around the subject for a while. And I think it took those two Black characters alone together to actually put that out there. And then once it's out there, I think it's easier to be discussed with all the rest of the characters, because you can't deny that the majority of these Marvel characters, not even Captain America's, are all Caucasians.
That you're absolutely right. And thinking about it, there's even the scene like at the bank where it's like you wonder if this were Steve Rogers, would you give him a bank loan? Probably.
Yeah.
You know, and I you can argue like it's back and forth of like, well, you're a supporting character also. So obviously the show has to be mean to you because you're a supporting character trying to become a lead. I wish, that's one thing though, is I wish, and I don't remember if I talked about this in the first episode or not. I wish they didn't just jump around so much, because I would have loved to see more conversation with Sam and the government when he's giving up the shield, and them being like, okay, instead of being like, well, you don't want it, you know, and then being like, okay, we're going to give it to copy paste diet Captain America here, instead of asking if you want it. Because there are some interesting points made about like the idea that the Captain America has always been like the model blonde hair, blue eyed Nazi stereotype. Not in the sense.
Well, yeah.
But it has. But that also, I don't think, is something the show has directly addressed. It's just something that's been there. So Matt, I think you're right. I think they have that the idea has been there, and now they're presenting it as topic.
Yeah.
But I still don't think they introduced it well. They should have just gone in all for it or not at all.
Well, yeah, I mean, I can actually see both of your points where like this, like, I think with the second episode, they kind of introduced it and then they just kind of like forgot about it. And then he kind of goes back to it. And then they're like, well, yeah, no self-respecting Black man would like take out the shield. And it's like, okay, that's an odd thing to say, but all right. But, and I see your point, Ryan, where if like it was started in episode 2, it was like episode 2, and then like carried on through like until this point. But I mean, I understand where it's like they introduced it in episode 2, and then like 3 and 4 they just kind of like dropped it, and then now he's kind of like circling back to this to kind of, and it's, I think for Sam's character it was almost kind of like this affirmation that he should take up the shield, and then the guy was like, no, don't do it because of X, Y, and Z. And so yeah, I see both points where it's just like, and I'm kind of wondering if this is like a way to kind of ease like MCU fans into Sam actually being Captain America.
I think it definitely is.
Because if you end with Endgame and don't have this series, you all right?
I'll be right back. There's a dog scratching at my door.
Anyway, so if you end with Endgame and him taking the shield and he just automatically becomes Captain America without the context of this show, I think that it's going to be a very jarring for a lot of people, because it is the whole racial swap of like iconic characters, and I think this show does a good job of actually setting that up and being like, look, this is what we're doing, and you have 6 episodes to get on board with it, or don't.
Well, yeah. I mean, I feel like, yeah, this shows exactly that. And I think that's the internal struggle that Sam's going through that's why he gave up the shield in the first place, I think. It's because he didn't feel like, not only that he didn't feel he was worthy, but he just felt out of place taking the shield. And so, you know, hopefully by the end of next episode, he will not feel out of place, and he will have his new suit and old shield, and everything will be hunky-dory.
But speaking of next episode, my other two weird little rants about, well, not really rants, that was my big rant. Story structure is really off. Like, this is a little late in the season to be wrapping up Zemo's story already and introducing this new character. That's like a 2 episodes before the finale, maybe even mid-season thing to do. And I'm right. 2 days, well, it was last week, but 2 episodes ago when I said all the Zemo buildup was going nowhere.
You were right. Unless something happens this episode.
That's true. And maybe I'll be wrong again. But I have a strong suspicion that I'm going to be right, and that none of that mattered, and that I got really invested in a character who offered very little other than getting characters from point A to point B to point C.
I'm hoping it's part of his plan to get to Wakanda.
It could be. I think it's more like, crap, I cannot remember the name of the group. I had this name in my head so I could impress you, Clint. The group of kind of anti-heroes, which has Zemo and Walker in it at one point.
The Thunderbolts.
Yes. And I thought this was kind of a nice way to and if it is the case, it's probably good writing, because instead of taking Zemo from point A to point B in the story, we've taken him from point A to point B as a character, taken him from a top tier villain to kind of a likable character who's willing to play with the moral gray a little bit, which is interesting.
Mm-hmm.
But it's still a little late in the game to wrap up that story, and way too late to bring in another character just so we can transition Walker to another. It feels very transitional, which is fine, because you have to transition to your story beats from the last episode. It just feels like they should have done some of these beats in the episode before this, and some of those beats in this episode.
Mm-hmm.
Do we have a runtime for the last episode? Is that anywhere?
I thought you
the
meant
internet?
for the video, and you were trying to tell me to shut up.
No. No, of course not, Ryan. In fact, you're very elegant in your explanation.
I would like to say, I think in final, if you're going to impress Ryan, please bring your A game when you do your scoring to your series. Please pay attention to what music goes where.
I know, it's so amazing, Ryan.
Yeah.
I mean, this is a real question. Did you study sound design?
I roomed with a film score, with a film composer. I roomed with a soundtrack. No, I roomed with a composer. So he and I spent 2 years going over stuff like this, and I appreciate. And it's where I've gotten to the point where it's easy to tell if something's callback or just reused material, even if you recompose the material. It's really just reused, and I love the callbacks in the first. Everything in the show so far, I've loved the music. I've got they did a release for the first 3 episodes, and I'm assuming the one for the next 3. I love the repurpose theme that they do what a lot of composers do, where they take a small note or two, where they've got that theme plays more than once. We're gonna pull that from Winter Soldier and make it Falcon's theme. I love that. Falcon is a theme now, and you kind of hear it repurposed in this, along with a kind of different version of the Winter Soldier theme. It's a little less jokery, a little more paced, but it's still eerie enough to kind of remind you that it's still his theme. That stuff is really great callback stuff. Reusing the Civil War theme is lazy. It doesn't have any meaning.
That's what's amazing about the information that you've garnered from this individual, because I'm I don't notice anything. I don't recognize scores at all. I'll oh yeah, that kind of sounds familiar. I've heard that somewhere, but I can't pinpoint it. I can't tell that it's been remixed or rescored or edited like that. So I'm that. So that's both a blessing and a curse that you have that knowledge, because you can't just see the way you see it and hear it in much different.
So the answer is, Ryan, just turn it off, man. Just turn it off.
It's a blessing unless it blinds you with nostalgia. Star Wars.
Yeah. I will say that I have paid more attention now that Ryan has been talking about it a lot during our. I literally have. Thank you, Ryan. Some even TV shows now. It's I've listened to themes and the Nevers and even the alienists and the violins and the cellos and stuff. It's kind of interesting. So really quick, predictions for what's going to happen. I think that Torres, the other guy, is going to become the new Falcon. Sam's going to take up being Captain America, and I think that we are going to get a hint at the Thunderbolts. So what do you guys think, real quick?
You're the nerd, so all of those things. I'm not kidding, but I'm kidding.
I think Sam's gonna use the runes on the side of the hex and bring down the guy.
Agnes Walker.
Agnes Walker.
We talked about this, but there will be some particle effects.
Sweet.
Sky beams will fly.
Do you think are we gonna get a new Falcon, or are we just gonna get a Falcon Captain America hybrid?
I think we're gonna get some type of hybrid, because I don't know comics very well. I'm pretty sure that's an existing thing.
Falcon America.
Yeah, like
Captain
what-
Falcon, dude.
Falcon.
How did I not think of that?
That's the joke of the whole
Oh my
episode. I was
God.
thinking that, and I just came to my head.
I
Thank
hate
you,
that I
Ryan.
didn't think of that.
It's Captain Falcon with his Falcon
He's
punch.
gonna do a. Dang it! I'm done. Can't get my joke out fast enough. This happened last week too.
Yeah, so we're gonna get Captain Falcon. Definitely.
I'm ready.
Go.
So I think I think we're gonna get the hybrid. No Captain Falcon. Even though that's hilarious. Unpopular opinion that move in Smash Brothers is almost next to useless unless you can like time it perfectly.
You got to time it. You got to start it in the air. Like you got to start it when somebody can't. I'm not going to talk about Smash Brothers.
I'm just saying you don't use it for the usefulness. You use it to spam the sound. That is all.
Falcon punch. Show me your moves.
So to somebody's question, the answer to somebody's question, yes, there is another Falcon inside the comic books. It is, I think his name is Javier Torres. I think that's what his name is in the show.
Yeah.
But I think in the books he's actually a mutant.
So he's legitimately a Falcon.
Yeah, he's got the wings and stuff like that. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean it's like because isn't there like the Iron Patriot? Wasn't that like there's a hybrid somewhere? I forget who comes up with the design.
Brody.
Yes. Wait, he does?
In
Yeah.
3, right?
Yeah.
2, 1, 3.
Oh,
Three?
yeah.
Oh, and
yeah.
In
I think
the
it's in
books,
3.
In
I don't
the
rewatch
books,
2
it
or
is-
3.
It is Rhodey.
So I mean, I think there's going to be some because they want him to keep his uniqueness as the Falcon, but they want him to take up the mantle as Captain America. So yeah, they're gonna come up with something. That's my prediction. Yeah, I think there's just gonna be that Prius of a character. It's gonna go anytime he moves less than 5 miles an hour, he's gonna just be really quiet.
Sorry, his name is Joaquin. Joaquin
Joaquin
Torres. Mm-hmm.
Joaquin Phoenix. Ooh, wouldn't that just be weird? What if he just came in all of a sudden, Joaquin Phoenix, and the last
Joaquin Phoenix Falcon.
Phoenix and the Winter Soldier.
Yes. So
You not entertained? Even though that wasn't him.
No. All right. So, any more thoughts on the Falcon and Winter Soldier? Cool.
What's next on the Marvel list?
Loki.
Oh, okay.
That's
Loki's
not
in
till June, right?
Yep. Loki's
Mhm.
in June. So we're gonna take
Boo.
a month off of MCU stuff. Month and some change. I know. It's a lot. It's a lot. All right. So these MCU files are closed. We did review something this week. Not all of us enjoyed it. I would imagine not any of us enjoyed this. So this is The Wolf of Snow Hollow, which is a little cross of Fargo and like a good werewolf movie. I guess it's about a small town in Utah.
I'm sorry, Clint. I think I heard you say a good werewolf movie.
Yeah.
Alex, I think I heard you imply there are no good werewolf movies.
Not this one.
I see what you're saying now.
Oh, yes. So this takes place in some small town in Utah. Some brutal murders start to happen, and they deny that it's from a werewolf, that it's a man. And this guy's a little angry. Jim Cummings, I can't remember his character's name right off the top of my head.
Yeah, Jim Cummings, because I remember getting him confused with the Jim Cummings that works on like all Disney things.
Yeah. Officer John Marshall, he's a little upset, and he's an officer in the small town in Utah, some snow town, and things go badly, very badly. I was generally lost through I'm gonna say a quarter of this movie. I thought this was about a werewolf, but apparently it wasn't. I'll get into spoilers later. Um, I don't even know what to say, to be honest with you. I'm gonna say like a 5, because it was like some of it was kind of enjoyable, some of it wasn't. So that's all I gotta say about that. Go ahead, Ryan.
Maybe I shouldn't go next.
Go ahead, man.
Okay. Well, I feel like I've held my opinions very. We watched this Saturday, and I've thought about very other few films since then. So I've kind of held back my opinions because I didn't know what you got. Want you guys to know what we thought, because I figured that Alex would hate this movie, having seen it. Now, Alex, I know you hate Fargo. I adore Fargo. I thought this movie was great. And I cannot wait to discuss it with you guys now that I've said that out loud.
Wait. Ryan. I also think this movie's great. Just so.
Thank goodness.
God, you're fine.
I'm not alone.
You're fine.
Now, here's the thing. It is super really imperfect. Like there's some major structural problems to this movie: pacing, tone, themes, and editing. But what this movie aspires to be, I think, is so much better than what the final product isn't all there. But it's like a kid doing like a drawing. You're like, wow, you put in such a good effort to doing something unique for mommy and daddy that I want to put it on the fridge. This is like, what if a raging bundle of instability and anxiety were at the helm of a murder mystery horror thriller? And that is so interesting than having like your typical like structure where you got the chief who doesn't believe it, and then the right hand man, she's not good enough to be in charge, but she believes it, or something's a hard-headed person and they don't get along. This guy's insane. He does not have anything together in his personal life or his professional life. Nobody likes him. He doesn't get along with people. He's got real issues, and we're stuck with him as the protagonist in this mystery that does not have easy answers like most mysteries seem to do. That is so great. That is such a unique setup for a thriller that ends up being a little twisty by the end. And I love the themes in this movie. It ends up getting way too much into being like, oh, alcoholism is bad. And like, werewolf? But I like it. I think it like builds, it delves a lot into this guy. And you as the audience end up feeling how in a sense, you're trying to balance all the things in the story that he's trying to balance within his life. And you're trying to get back to like, hey, werewolf. And he's like, yeah, I know, but I've got all these things to do. He's like, yeah, I know, but we've got all these things to do. So the movie puts you in this position where you're like, I got to worry about my dad. I don't want to worry about his dad. Neither does he. So we're stuck with his dad for a part of the movie. I think it's great. I think it's such exceptional story structure for a movie that I expected nothing from. I didn't even look up the ratings when I bought this movie and put it in. Okay. Some problems I have with it. My main problem with it, the editing is so messy. It tries to be really showy. It's bad. It goes from like, oh, that's some interesting cross-cutting. It doesn't need to be. It does like day for night cross-cutting where they're doing the night before and the day of, but they don't line up in the sequence of events where it's like we haven't gotten to the point where point B is dealing with point A. So why cut between point A and point B, then to go to point C? Cut between point A and point C after point B, or something like that. And it gets to the point, Clint, you said you were lost. I was lost a lot. And I'm only going to give it a 7 because there were moments in this film where I was genuinely confused. I don't like being confused in movies. Mm-hmm. And there were a couple scenes in this where something is said or done or implied, and then we go to the next thing, and I have no idea how we got from this to this. And one of those things is unfortunately the resolution of the plot. Yeah. And that really hurt right at the end. Now, it was followed by a great finale, I think, but it was still this like, oh, we're here. And I'm like, did I miss a scene? And it feels like there were several scenes that were cut out of this movie. Another negative thing I had. Jim Cummings is probably great. This is so the he show that it hurts. it was inevitable when you write, direct, star, but a lot of his performance felt like it was very about him, and I think that shows. And it's not always great. It's a little over the top when it doesn't need to be. Sometimes when a lot of the supporting characters who are legitimately interesting are toned down, he's still at like 11 out of 10 at all times, and he does not need to be at all times. But he's just. It feels very much like he wrote it. He wants to do as much as he can with the source material, and he wants the spotlight on him 100% of the time. I think it works most of the time, but it was something that I definitely noticed throughout the film. So I think if you didn't know he wrote and directed and you watched it, by the end you'd say this guy probably directed this movie.
And wrote it and directed it and starred in.
Yes, but I really enjoyed it. I will absolutely shelve it on my thriller section, and I'd probably watch it again because it's kind of a Christmas movie.
It is kind of a Christmas movie. That last scene is very Christmassy.
Yeah.
Which I thought looked really good. I said great. It was good. I'm not sure if I go to great because I would give this, I think, a 6 out of 10. I'm not sure. I guess this is a comedy thriller, a comedy horror. There's definitely comedy in here. And I can see why people would be turned off and not like this, because Jim Cummings' character and his style that he does his comedy can be off-putting, how quirky it is, and kind of how mean it is. But when it works, it's hilarious. When it doesn't work, it's really, really bad. The comedy in it is funny. I don't know why there's when the serious drama hits in this film, it is way over the top and it's not funny at all. And it just seems out of place. And I think that's what took it down for me. What Ryan also mentioned, the editing, some of that editing is super confusing and ineffective. Just like he said, I'd be like, where did we get? Why are we here? Has this happened yet? What's going on? How did this get resolved this way? Oh, I don't want to mention things because we're not at spoilers, although I don't think spoilers are going to like affect whether you like or hate this movie. But I really enjoyed it. I thought it was good. Yes, Jim, I'm interested to know what kind of person Jim Cummings is. I don't know anything about him. I want to know if he's kind of like this, if he's that over the top. But he definitely had something in mind when he wrote this movie, a character. And I think in probably at least over half of this film, it's effective and it works. So definitely a 6 out of 10 for me. I will not go up to a 7. But I am with Ryan. I will definitely watch this again. I watched it by myself, so I will show Jeannie this. I can guarantee you she's probably not going to like it, but we'll find out. I also liked how it ended. I liked where it went, and I was very pleasantly surprised with that. Now, how it got there, we'll never know.
Right.
But I really, but I enjoyed it.
Yeah.
Also, the cast of this was actually, there were some famous people, and I say famous lightly, because it has the star of my favorite Netflix original series, American Vandal, Jimmy Tatro, who's famous for drawing things on walls that may or may not be phallic shaped.
Yeah.
And there's also Ricky Lindholm, who plays the girl sheriff, who's famous in the comedy group Garfunkel and Oates. So check her out.
I knew her from somewhere.
Which I was like, why does she look familiar? Because she usually has blonde hair. And then I had to look it up. I'm like, oh, that's where I know her from. I didn't know she was an actress, let alone a comedic actress. And the late, great Robert Forster, man. Come on, recognize. Good stuff.
She's also in Big Bang Theory for a little bit, isn't she?
Yeah, she's in an episode. That's always what I think of her in. Like, she's at least in one episode.
That show does not exist to me, so I would not know.
Some hate for Big Bang Theory. Anyway, Alex, you're up, sir.
The antithesis.
Yeah, I was trying to, just digest everything that you guys were saying. I detest this movie. I hated every single aspect of it.
Dropping a deuce.
I hated the acting. I hated the music. I hated the segueing of scene to scene that didn't make sense. We were seeing the same scene over and over where they can't find the guy. Like, all right, yeah, like somebody's like, oh yeah, my 6-year-old daughter could have found this guy by now. yeah, we're just seeing that scene like over and over, like for an hour and a half. Jim Cummings, I will say at first, like in that first scene when he's in the AA meeting, I was like, okay, I think this guy's acting is not too bad. Like I feel like he's like got some realism to him. And then the rest of the movie happened. And I was like, this guy is so over the top. Now, I mean, I get it. He has a lot of involvement in this, to say the least. So I feel like he feels like he has to carry the movie, kind of almost single-handedly. But that overacting, I mean, there's overacting, and then there is Jim Cummings, man. This guy, he was intense. Like Ryan said, he was, turn it up to 11. Like every scene he was in, he's like, you know what? I haven't yelled or verbally abused anybody close to me in about a minute and a half. I feel like I need to do that. Oh, Dad, you have cancer? Well, I'm gonna freaking yell at you.
Alex, can I interrupt you before you continue?
Sure.
Is it weird that I agree with all your points, but it has not changed my rating?
Yeah.
Hey, I mean, it's just
if only the director had told him to turn it down a little bit.
Yeah. That might be the secret to this movie is he can write and star. Somebody else needed to direct and supervise the editing, and then you've got a great movie on your hands.
Mm-hmm.
Sorry, Alex, I didn't mean.
No, you're good.
So
yeah, I mean, this movie did not make sense to me at all. Even something as simple as the opening, like visuals of you seeing the town, like or the landscape. Like there are scenes like you're seeing like the mountainside, and then like you're seeing it reversed upside down, like fading in and out. And I'm like, I was so tripped out. I didn't know what the heck was happening. I'm like, why are we seeing this? And it makes no sense to me. I'm like, what is the point of this? Go ahead, Ryan.
There isn't any. It's an indie film opening.
Okay.
It could be, you could read into it and be like, this is gonna show you how perception changes. It doesn't. It's just a fancy indie film opening.
It's stock footage they dressed up.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I'm like, it plays in no part whatsoever to the rest of the film. Doesn't play in any aspect. I mean, but because that was the beginning, I didn't really think much of it. Up until the rest of the movie happened, and I was like, I just want to pick away this movie as much as I can. You guys say that the ending, is fun or you liked it and everything. I was just like, nope, this is an exclamation to this crap sandwich sentence of this movie. It made no sense. There was a huge not inconvenience, a convenient like, oh, hey, you happen to do this in order to get to where you are at the end without
Movie's got a movie.
Oh, no.
It's weird because it's like movies, and we missed the word gotta, but we still got the same statement.
That's what the tagline should have been for this entire movie. Movie's got a movie, because that's literally, I mean, you have to, every scene has that moment. I'm like, I don't remember a scene that I liked in this movie.
I might disagree with that. I think it's the point where nothing gets done until the end of the movie. And so there are the conveniences, but they're all to do with something lining up imperfectly or lining up in a way that negatively impacts the protagonist. And so you get this weird, awkward sense where you're talking about like the scene where he's like, yeah, my 6-year-old could have solved this. People are jerks. And this movie can't help but remind you of that.
Yeah.
Now, it went overboard with having a protagonist that is also a jerk. But I like the approach that they're like, oh, here's a murder. Okay, well, we'll look into it. And like an hour later, we're like, we know nothing new.
Right.
So, and I haven't even mentioned one of the most like bizarre things of this movie. Oh man, something slightly is inconveniencing me. Slap. How many times did that happen in the movie? Everybody's slapping each other for no friggin' reason. He's slapping his like deputy or whatever. Just we don't hear what they're saying. They're off on the side of the crime scene. He slaps him. The deputy comes back at him with the punch and ducks, and then he's like, hey, you know what? You tried to punch me. You're fired. And I'm like, you just slapped the guy for no stinking reason. And then his daughter ends up slapping him while he's drunk. And I'm like, what is this movie? What is this movie? I hated everything about this movie. I'm actually having fun with this.
That you know what though, that I hadn't even forgotten. Matt, you mentioned it. I hadn't even forgotten. Matt, you were talking about how like some of the drama doesn't land when it's trying to
Yeah.
balance like funny, but there are some beats when she's trying to carry him upstairs and she just wants him to go to sleep and he can't.
Yeah,
That scene was like really good. That was like
that was okay.
that was
Yeah,
like the most dramatic scene in the movie. That was really, I don't know. I don't even empathize with either of the characters in that position, and I felt like I did.
Mm-hmm.
So, but yeah, I mean, this was an ordeal. I was in 20. I was into the movie, and I was like, all right, how much do I have left to go? Oh, an hour. And this was only an hour and 20-minute movie, a 25-minute movie. Yeah, I'm gonna make a little production meeting history. I'm giving this as a 0. This is an incomplete for me. Goose egg.
I mean,
Goose egg.
I get it.
Clint, can we make Alex's homework the Emoji Movie?
I would gladly watch that over, going from this. I mean, you can't go any worse than this for me.
Just the scene alone in the movie where he's like, his daughter's like just got attacked or whatever, and he goes to see her and she's like, aren't you gonna ask me if I'm okay? He was like, no, I'm not gonna ask you if you're okay.
Yeah.
You're supposed to be at home past your curfew. I'm just like, this is hilarious. This is so funny and wrong and messed up, but it was so funny. And that's the character in a nutshell to me. He was just like, you know what? I got my own rules and you better respect them or I'm not gonna respect you.
Yeah.
Or I'll fire you.
Well, let's talk spoilers because I think I'll get more into my like review about this in spoilers. Yeah, you guys talked about so spoilers from here on out. You guys talked about editing and stuff like that. Yeah, that scene with his daughter was perfect. I actually thought it was kind of funny because it's literally like everything that anybody's ever thinking when it's like one of these situations happens. Is like I understand that like being a father, you should probably ask, but it's like, I told you should be at home because there's a werewolf out here and you just got attacked. So it's kind of like this I told you so moment where it's like, I told you so. So yeah, I thought that was kind of funny. But yeah, the editing and how we got to this ending was just so bizarre. Like, I don't even know, like she's like going through stuff and then she finds like this little, like, what was it? A thread, something like thread cutter or whatever.
Yeah.
And it's like bing.
The guy calls her and it's like the jerk from the opening, and he had evidence that or something they had left there and he wasn't going to mail it back, and then and then she was going through stuff. Was that even
Ryan, he sounded like a jerk. He wasn't a jerk at all. He was a nice guy.
He was the nice of the two jerks.
Yeah. So who just had his almost fiance murdered.
Oh, it was that guy.
Yeah.
I'm pretty sure it was that guy.
I know, if anything, he's the most likable character.
But like the taxidermist, like, did we meet this guy before? Like, have we seen
in the background?
Movie? Yeah, he was also definitely the guy who visited the girl in the diner.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. So yeah, it was just I liked the ending, and I agree with you, Matt and Ryan. Like I liked the ending because I think it was it culminated like everything that came together. But how we got there was just a little off-putting because he's like, can you stand up straight for me to see what your tire height is?
That's exactly what I'm talking about.
How did he even piece this together? Like what? Like I understand like Ricky Lindholm's character and like how she got there, but how did he get there? Because he was just like, wait, how tall are you? And then he stands up and he's like, crap.
Because he's an amazing sheriff detective.
Well, he was returning evidence
off the booze.
Yeah,
clear-headed man.
Yeah, so he was returning evidence, but I'm like, what evidence did you seize from this guy where he wasn't a suspect? Because he was dropping off the evidence and the guy invited him in and the guy said a couple suspicious things in a very, I want to say Zodiac kind of fashion with like the basement scene from Zodiac. And then he walks out and he's like, yeah, I guess this is probably him. And he turns around and I was like, that was a good moment. But it also did have me asking like, why is he there in the first place? Like, that's not something that we built up to.
Mm-hmm. I think that's what off put me. It's just like we don't have any context of like why he's there, or like how, like you said, what evidence he's returning.
Yeah.
Do we even know why he's doing it?
No,
Returning the evidence or
No,
killing?
I
Oh,
mean killing people.
No,
He
it's
wants to
not
be a
one of
wolf,
those
man.
movies.
yeah, it's not about the killer. It's about the cop.
It's about the alcohol.
Yeah, it's
Okay.
about the spontaneously firing people.
Ryan, I
Remember-
feel like
can you remind Bob that he's fired?
getting a plane ticket, coming over to wherever the heck you are, and I have to throw away that movie.
I think
Sorry.
we should all just have a movie night and just watch it all together with Alex there.
We should
In
take
the middle.
notes. Try to
Yeah.
figure out what things are missing. I was worried this would happen because I was like every once in a while I feel like myself included, somebody will say something and somebody else will have the answer, and you can either correct them and be like, well, you missed something obviously, or not. I was hoping that I would say that one of us would be like, well, this didn't make any sense, and somebody else would be like, well, this happened. I guess we're all in the same boat.
No,
Oh,
So
I
it's a
think-
little comforting.
the movie, and we can't reinforce the fact enough that this movie doesn't make a lot of sense sometimes, but it's like a high quality like B film that just is very entertaining for what it is.
mhm.
And if it's either, like I said, you either get the comedy and it's for you and the quirkiness of the comedy, or you don't and it's super off-putting. And I totally can see that.
Yeah.
I mean, part of his
Yeah.
acting is a little off-putting to me too, but I laughed enough and was entertained enough to actually enjoy this movie. So
Oh, yeah, and Matt, you're completely right. I mean, this film was released in initially in October. Definitely didn't have a theatrical release.
yeah,
So it's definitely just as it's. I don't know if it's an independent film, but it's definitely a B film.
yeah.
I think it's an indie film. But yeah, I mean, five. Like I said, five. It wasn't horrible, but it was just. I think the editing just kind of threw me off. But any more thoughts on the Wolf of Snow Hollow?
God, no.
Go check it out, or don't.
Go check it out.
If you like Fargo, check it out. If you don't check it out.
Yeah, I completely agree with that. It does treat dark comedy in that weird
Yeah.
situational.
Yeah.
You're not sure if you should laugh or not, and every
Yeah.
joke in the movie feels like that, to the point where you just start laughing at every joke in the movie and hope you're not being insensitive.
Yeah. I would say at least watch it once. I mean, it's 80 some odd minutes, 85 minutes long.
That said, if you watch it once and you find yourself, how long before you checked your watch, Alex?
20 minutes in.
20 minutes in, if you check your watch and go, how much more of this is there? Just turn it off, because you probably aren't
Yeah.
going to want to see the rest of it.
Yeah. Yeah, I agree with that.
Yeah.
All right. So that was Snow Hollow. So coming up next week, we have Mortal Kombat. Yeah. Are we
Speaking
excited?
of sideways hail hitting you,
And then
I'm not
going
the
through
only
your
one I'm not the only
skull.
one who hates that theme, right?
I
I-
love that theme.
I don't care
man.
about it.
I'll
Yeah,
talk
man.
about that next week. I rewatched both of the 95 and whenever the heck Annihilation came out, just in preparation.
So you're not lost now.
No, I know everything there is to know about this series based on a game that I've never played in my life.
Wait a second, no joke. Is this supposed to actually follow anything, or is this its own thing?
No.
Okay.
Does it
it's-
matter?
I was
Remake.
being facetious. Yeah.
I mean,
One of those games.
no, it doesn't matter. But I was just like,
Oh,
is
you
that
mean
real?
is it a sequel to the movies? I was like,
Yes.
it's a game adaptation. What do you mean? Does it follow anything? I'm stupid. Ignore me.
No, because you and Matt mentioned Annihilation, and he was joking, and I was like,
It
wait
was
a second.
actually it follows Annihilation. So I hope you remember everything about that movie. And if you didn't, you should go watch it.
I've
right
never
now.
seen the first two.
What, really?
Alex.
Oh,
No,
You
'cause-
gotta watch them.
Because when did Mortal Kombat like first enter the scene? Like,
Like
I mean,
93,
the game.
93,
Yeah.
94.
Okay, and
Something
so
along
I
those
was like,
lines.
I was like 2 at the time. So
That's no
I think,
excuse.
nah, I just,
Alex, you especially don't have an excuse because I've never played them, but I've seen both movies.
yeah, no. I think it's also because I'm just not very good at Mortal Kombat games. Like I like fighting games, and so
I hate all fighting games ever, and I never bothered to play this one.
okay. Well, I
One of my
didn't.
friends,
Man, whatever.
I
Yeah,
like how
one of my
Alex
friends
is
was
like,
like
I
this.
suck at this game.
Yeah.
I'm never going to watch the movie.
It's Alex. It's like the game, but you don't have to do this. Just
I mean, you could watch the movie and do this, and then feel like you're winning.
pretend you're doing the spin kick after spin kick after spin kick after spin kick from Annihilation's fight sequences.
Get over her.
Yeah.
So Alex, here's how it is. Here's how it is. The first film is somewhere between so bad it's good and good. It's neither, but it's not terrible, but it's definitely not good, but it's not that bad. It's probably worth watching. The second film is so bad it's good that it hurts.
Yeah.
Okay,
but the first one feels a lot better because the second one exists, I think.
Yes.
Too.
I have seen a good chunk of the Street Fighter movie with who's what is it? Van Damme?
Julia?
Yeah.
Is Jean-Claude Van Damme in this, right?
Alex, why'd you watch most of the Street Fighter movie and not Mortal Kombat?
I was on TV. It just happened to be on. I think my brother was watching it, and I was just like,
"Fly over here, and we'll have a Mortal Kombat double feature."
Okay. Yeah, but
next you're gonna tell me you've never seen the Double Dragon movie.
Scott Wolf.
I think they made that up. I'm with you, Alex.
I was gonna say I don't know what that is.
Oh, come on.
Jeez, Louise. It's got Alyssa Milano in it too.
Ooh,
and some other guy.
That's a cookie.
Hey, she's a person.
Yeah. And a huge hockey fan too.
She is. The first game actually debuted in the arcades in 1992.
Okay.
And the film was released in 95. I believe the second film was in 97.
It looks rushed, so that makes sense.
Yeah.
But I'll definitely see this one.
97.
Alex, I wholeheartedly think that you will at least enjoy the first one for what it is, knowing how you look at video game adaptations.
Plus,
in a good way. That's a good
thing. The best thing about this movie, or the first one in 95, it's a Paul W.S. Anderson movie.
Oh, I thought you were going to say Christopher Lambert's in it.
That too. Without Mila Jovovich, though. So there's the sad part.
Pre-Mila.
Yeah, pre-Mila. So if that gives you an idea of the quality of this movie.
Not really. I'm just as lost, if not more so.
Is that one of his first? Hold on.
I think so.
It was the first. It was his first video game adaptation.
Yeah.
First of 30.
Yeah. Because I know he didn't do Annihilation, and that's why he was so hands-on for all of the Resident Evil sequels up until I've never seen a single one. So.
I don't know. In general, I don't think video game movies tend to be real. Even people say, "Oh man, Sonic's raised the bar," and I'm like, it was fine. I think my favorite, ironically, was the one, the Ratchet and Clank movie, because that lost a good chunk of money. But I was like, I think the quality of this is pretty good, and I feel like it's true to the game. It's very, very if you like the game, this is like watching one gigantic cutscene. So I think that's why I like that movie.
I thought you were going to say Super Mario Bros.
Yeah, man.
You know what? I have that.
Bob Hoskins.
And it's not good. But I remember I got that a long time ago. I don't know if Rite Aid still sells DVDs, but I remember I got this at a Rite Aid for somewhere between $2 and $5.
Wow.
At least I just looked up. At least Ratchet and Clank's budget was only $20 million because it only made 13. Mm-hmm. So at least it wasn't like a $50 million movie that lost.
But it bums me out because I think whoever made that, I've been really waiting for the Sly Cooper movie. I really wanted that, and there was a trailer for it. Somewhere around 6 years ago, and that died. I don't think that's ever going to get made. And because I saw that the Ratchet and Clank movie didn't, do too hot, so they were like, yeah, this is dead on arrival. I'm gonna look that up now. I wonder if that's any any production, if it's out of limbo, any chance.
You're like, it already came out.
Crap. Well, Alex is doing that. Do we have any more thoughts?
Like in general?
Yeah, just in general.
I'm just happy that we got like a nice big difference in ratings for that movie. I feel like we've been all getting along a little too chummy lately with our ratings.
Yeah, we should have our own Mortal Kombat.
I'm happy that we got to do this podcast without the riots going on outside. I appreciate that. So I'm thankful for that.
Okay.
What?
Was that a thing that was happening?
I don't know.
Like a year ago?
No, there was a verdict that came through yesterday.
Shoot.
Oh, yeah.
We don't talk about actual news. We talk about things that don't matter, Matt.
Why do we need this? That's why.
This is exactly why.
But that's what I'm thankful for.
Yes.
Do you find your Sly Cooper, Alex?
No, there's just some like fandom wiki thing that's like directed by unknown, written by unknown, music by unknown.
Is he like a tech artist or something?
I guess. No, see, I'm going to development and like the last note, it says as of December 7th, 2017, Rainmaker has left the project. I guess that was the main studio, selling their rights to
Rainmaker.
Blah, 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 blah. Two of the film's producers from Rainmaker, somebody had left their positions as well. So they're losing a lot of people, and then nobody's really wanting to pick this up. So yeah,
cool.
Almost about 4 years ago.
What's up, Ryan?
I completely forgot to talk about this. Not that it's going to be remotely relevant. I guess Sharon Carter is going to be the power broker, probably, because they definitely just alluded to that in the last episode, and that is stupid. And you were right last week.
Yeah. Clint was totally right on that.
And I'll mention that again this week or next week, because it's like 45 minutes after we talk about it.
They got to do what they got to do to make the character important, Ryan.
She's not important at all. It doesn't make any sense.
She's one of those low class B actors they have to appease.
Miss Van Camp. Anyway, all right. Well, if we got no more thoughts, and Alex looks like he's deep in thought.
He's trying to get funding for the Sly Cooper movie right now.
All right, guys. Everybody just pitch in $200,000.
GoFundMe right now. Kickstarter.
Right. Thank you, everyone, for watching and listening. Please just give us a like, subscribe to our channel, and leave us a comment. We like hearing from everybody. But if that's it, this meeting is adjourned. Bye, guys.
Later.